Hey everybody, this is Brian with B&R Homestead, and since 2023, my family and I have been taking baby steps towards self-sufficiency by starting a homestead. And in that 2-year period, we've acquired over 30 chickens, we've got 5 goats, we've got 6 ducks, we've got 2 pigs now, we've got an orchard in the front side yard of our home, and we have a massive garden coming this spring, and we've learned a ton along the way. And the main question that we get amongst all other questions on our social media platforms is, where do I start? And that can actually be daunting because homesteading can send you down a million different rabbit trails. You can get into gardening. When it comes to animals, do you start with chickens? Do you start with goats? Do you start with pigs? Do you do quail? Do you do rabbits? There's a million different options for you, and it can be overwhelming, and it actually prevents a lot of people from actually starting because they just don't know where to start. And so today I want to have that discussion with you. If I were to start from scratch today, I want to show you 2 things that would be my non-negotiables from the very beginning, and I would focus on those things first. So I know this isn't a shock to anyone who's been following me for any sort of time, but my number 1 recommendation, the first thing I would do in starting a homestead, is get chickens. Now, the reason why I would recommend chickens before anything else on a homestead is pretty simple. I think it is the easiest, most low-maintenance way to get introduced to raising animals. Now, the reason I say that is because what a chicken can provide for you versus what it needs from you is a pretty amazing trade-off. Chickens provide protein for you in 2 different sources, through meat and through eggs. They're dual-purpose animals, and they're by far the most low-maintenance dual-purpose animal there is. And if this is your first time producing food in your own backyard, you're going to quickly realize the stark difference between a chicken egg from your own chicken in your backyard and a chicken egg that you get from the store. And it's going to open your eyes to the commercial food industry, and it's going to make you even more passionate about growing food on your own. And last, and arguably the most important thing your chickens can do, is produce amazing compost for your spring garden. I mean, look, we've got worms in this one and everything. And that's really the beauty of chicken ownership, is the thing that you are honestly going to dread most, which is cleaning out your chicken coop, can provide one of the most valuable resources you're going to need on your homestead, which is compost for your garden. And that's what kind of brings us into number 2, is starting a garden. So I think chickens is the number 1 most important thing that you can get on your homestead, and number 2 is starting your garden. And I think it's because they're both so complementary to one another that they work with each other so well. You feed your chickens, they provide droppings for you, and you take your droppings, and we do the deep litter method here in our coop, which provides compost for us. We put that compost directly into our garden, and that's what we're going to do this spring. And then once we get vegetables, all of those scraps are going to go back to our chickens, which then go back into compost, which then go back into the garden, and it creates this sort of self-sustaining closed system that is going to be so valuable for those of you who are seeking baby steps towards self-sufficiency. Which brings me to my second point, growing your own food or starting a garden. And so, welcome to the B&R Homestead garden. Does it look underwhelming? Well, yeah, because it hasn't been started yet. But the thing is, that really is just a matter of circumstance. We've had multiple moves over the last couple of years, and I've never really had an opportunity to start a full-scale garden until now, and that is coming very soon. Probably in our next video, you're going to see us starting to put that thing together, and we're really excited about it because we've always dreamed of doing a full-scale garden like this, and I really do believe it is the second most important thing that you can do in your homesteading journey. But in the spirit of growing your own food, we did plant an orchard this fall, and I think that's incredibly valuable, and a lot of people don't realize that you can plant a lot of fruit trees in not a lot of space as long as you keep them pruned down fairly small. We've got 12 fruit trees here in less than 1,000 square feet of space, and this will be plenty of fruit that my family's going to need, and we're only about a year or 2 away from starting to reap the harvest of that. And so for everyone who's always asking, where do I start? That's my official recommendation. I would start with chickens in a garden. Even if it's only 4 chickens and a small herb garden on your windowsill of your house, whatever it is, just go ahead and start. We always say do what you can with what you have, and so just take baby steps towards self-sufficiency, and make sure you're subscribed and following along, because we're going to be planting our garden soon. We've got a lot of content planned for 2025, and we want to make sure that you're following along. Go to bnrhomestead.com, use code FOILHAT10 for 10% off, and we're going to see you next week.